I'm just coming along the high road to Taos now in order to go see Truchas and perhaps the Murata there, and I passed along Las Trampas, which according to the marker here, and I actually did not make a plan to visit this, was very well established by the early 1750s by a dozen families who came up from Santa Fe back when it was a Spanish province. I've been following this line of thought that Los Hermanos Penitentes, which was most active in these very remote communities, incorporated elements of crypto-Judaism. Essentially, in the 1600s, there was an Inquisition going on, and a lot of the people that came over to settle the Spanish Empire, they were Jews from Portugal, so they had to kind of keep a secret, behind closed doors spiritual practice. And one of the things that I see here is stones, and it is a very Jewish practice to leave stones as remembrance, because if you take one letter out of the word stone in Hebrew, it spells permanence or memory. And so people will leave stones. You'll notice it very often on Jewish memorials and graves, and it kind of sets the stage for me to go into the possibility that perhaps the Penitentes, of course a Catholic organization, a layman Catholic organization, but through the years, through the centuries, they are the final incarnation of a group of people which has chosen to keep, if not the Jewish religion, the Jewish customs and traditions alive in the most remote stretches of first the Spanish and then the Mexican states before it was incorporated into America. And the Penitentes are still around. They're still a religious group, but they do still like to keep to themselves because since the 1600s they've been forced to do this. This is one of the few graves in the churchyard to have stones left on the top of it like this. But you will notice that they're buried on the western end of the courtyard, and they would be looking at the church as the sun sets behind them, and they're kind of similar in design. And the grave over here as well, with a flower on it, has another stone on top of it there. And notice that the flower has 6 leaves, or 6 petals. And before I leave the church here, I noticed this all around the outside door, and this is something common as well to stone churches in England. You've got the Rose of Sharon, and it's a 6-sided rose, so might be reference to Judaism as well in the Penitentes. But here you have 2 roses of Sharon, and I was told that these are sort of lotuses which blossom in the Holy Land, so the Crusaders took to drawing them. And just above the door here, you have several of them which look a lot more like the European style, because on the doorway left and right you have 6 just stick lines, but here you have the rose with petals. And it also goes over to a more esoteric sort of flower of life, which is a Buddhist symbol. And you can see these symbols all throughout religion, and I have no idea what the one on the right is, but you can see there's an arrow pointing downwards, and it's not mirrored on the left side. And it's kind of a folkloric belief amongst Europeans, at least back in the day, that circles would keep out evil spirits and the devil. So you have a lot of painted circles up here which are preserved in the archways, and they're fading now, but I wonder how many people know the significance of these paintings and of the Rose of Sharon.